Good evening, welcome all of you. So, this evening we are going to discuss a very good topic that is on God's working. Normally, we feel God has its own way of working. It is there. He has come down into this lower world, into this dangerous world, to work so that this downtrodden race, this abandoned race, must be uplifted to their spiritual destiny. So, thing is that everything does not happen as per our will. Of course, we have got the option. We may keep our demand near the divine that things should be like this, but thing is that accepting or non-accepting, acceptance or non-acceptance, everything depends upon the divine, because he is everywhere. He is in all. From him all emerge, in him all mix. So it is the time to decide how clearly the God's working is there, how the God actually works. So different types of, anyway, we'll try to quote Sri Aurobindo, couple of lines we will see. So God has all time before him and does not need to be always in a hurry. Just imagine, he has all time. He is not in a hurry. Everything, his mission is that thing must be accomplished for whom, for which actually he has taken the material birth, the mortal birth he has taken. So with the mission, with the vision, he has come here. He is working here. So thing is that he has all time before him. I don't know if we will be say we are in a hurry. Everything should be sorted out immediately. God should be immediately come and interfere. Thing not, does not occur. He has all time before him, and need not be always in a hurry. Just imagine before the last war between Rama and Ravana, night actually everybody could be able to find Ramachandra observing the glorious full moon. So they got something actually confusion. The next morning actually there will be a great war, and of course it is the final war between Rama and Ravana. So here actually inside the strong room, inside the where actually this is tent camp, so things must be formalized. Everything must be activated, planning program, how to carry out the plan, how to actually proceed step by step procedure, everything. But instead of doing all these things, Ramachandra is simply coming out and enjoying the full moon that is actually beautifully, it has covered entire sky. So one after another, Hanuman and Angad, of course, Jambavan, everybody got disturbed. How it can happen? So they went and asked him. Actually, Ramachandra said, "You just come and enjoy the things." Then they got actually disturbed. How it is possible? There will be a final war for which actually mother is here. We have to free her at any cost. So what is the scenario we are seeing here actually? So finally they approach Lakshman, and Lakshman of course realizes the problem, and he comes and approaches Ramachandra to work out something to choke out the plan and program. Then actually to the entire all the questioners, Ramachandra is explaining. Just wait, because tomorrow morning and this evening there is a huge gap. So unless otherwise Ravan is coming before me as a foe, as an enemy. So I should not think the ill of him actually, because he is also my children, my kid. He is also my more mera santan. So that's what. Just imagine if within one night many things can happen. So if this is a change in this changeable world, everything is supposed to change. Then what is the point in simply taking the wrath? And moreover, here in the of course quoted, God's wrath is our eternal advantage. God's wrath is our eternal advantage. Of course, it happens very in a very small time, very in a small way. Anyway, need not be always in a hurry. So Krishna has to die. That is, Kansa has to die. Krishna has to come on the eighth of his mother Devaki. So people question that why on eighth, why as the eighth child, why not the first child? Because from 1 to 8 there is a huge gap in between. The demon, the great demon Kansa can do anything he likes. So, but thing is that there is also a purpose, because the six Gandharvas were there. They were actually cursed. So they need to be liberated from their cursed position. For that, only 6th and 7th is Jogamaya will come, and finally at the 11th home, Krishna will come back. So this is the God's meaning, God's style of working. We have nothing to do, and we have to nothing to be in a hurry. Again, still in the quotes about God's the workings. God guides best when He tempts worst. Just very imagine how it works actually. God guides best when He tempts worst. Worst tempted people, there is suppose there is also a chance that they may make some, of course, in some error. So anything, something wrong or something. So, but thing is that here Sri Aurobindo quotes, that time actually when people are going to the path of the error, path of falsehood, path of something like an error, erroneous path, then actually he guides best. Otherwise, because that is time need. So when you have got the full, your stomach is totally empty, you are 100% hungry. That time actually this is your taste of the food will be very much interesting, and this food will attract you. That time there won't be any choice between good food, bad food. My choice to choose food or not. I like and I dislike. Nothing like this, because you are too much hungry. Like this, when there is a maximum error, when he tempts worst, that time actually he guides best. Again, loves entirely when punishes cruelly. Just imagine, father punishes because of the people, son has committed some error. Even during the exam, he has committed some unmistakable errors. Actually, he has committed something. So that time, actually, he gives him some punishment. And after the punishment, actually, father realizes and gives some solace, dress, good food, and of course, he laughs like anything. Like this, laughs entirely when he punishes cruelly. Third condition, helps perfectly when violently he opposes. Helps violently he opposes. Suppose you are doing something, there will be a big opposition from the divine, from the God. That time you will feel that actually help will come, perfect help will come. There is no other way. So we have to wait, and this is the scenario. So I will try to quote the sentence again, but there is a golden. This sentence has been written in a golden term, and it is a big term also. God guides best when he tempts worst, loves entirely when he punishes cruelly, helps perfectly when violently he opposes. Again, when thou art able to see how necessary the suffering to final delight. Just imagine, some terms are there: suffering, again failure, and again retardation, opposite of the acceleration. So these are the terms. Actually, what happens? Just imagine. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully, when thou art able to see how necessary it is suffering to final delight. Suffering, on the opposite, at the end there is delight. So suffering, through suffering we have to move towards the delight. That is what the requirement. So when we can know, almost normally in the ordinary consciousness they are not in a position to know or analyze simply what is the use of this suffering. They complain even. So but here actually, when you pass beyond yourself, pass beyond the mind, then you will be able to know how much necessary the suffering to the final delight. Again, failure to utter effectiveness, utter effectiveness. The real is that many times we fail. Whenever the child wants to stand and walk 100 times, actually maybe more, he is actually falling on the floor, breaking the thigh and the bone. Everything happens, but not that you are simply just stopping him. No, don't walk, because this is the requirement. These are the steps someone has to go further on. Then here in the course, failure to utter effectiveness. With these failures initially, after a long failures, here in the course beautifully in another term, all splendid failures come to victory. So that time actually, another third thing, the effectiveness, utter effectiveness through the failure. Third, retardation to the end, rapidity. Retardation means acceleration. You are going ahead with the accelerated speed. The speed is actually increasing like anything. Retardation, it is decreasing like anything. So The requirement is that still in the course here that retardation is requirement for the last rapidity. Last rapidity. Initially we may fail. We don't know what we have to do, but actually that is also what the requirement. Retardation is requirement. So for the last rapidity. So then thou must begin to understand something, however faintly or dimly, of God's working. Suppose I was to be placed and to stand fast in the class, then that ego would be there, that saturation would be there, then decay and death, then I would be going down and down and down. So here itself it is a lesson for you, just for a minute error. I have lost the cup, I have failed the exam like this. So naturally there will be a big preparation so that this greater achievement can be done. There will be greater effectiveness is there. You must have to carry it out, capitalize. This is, and you will be able known to the know. You will be able to know that this is the God's working. Very beautiful sentence, beautiful quotations here in the gives. When thou art able to see how necessary is suffering to final delight, failure to utter effectiveness, and retardation to the last rapidity, then how must begin to then thou must begin to understand something, how faint, of course, however faintly or dimly, not in the full manner, of course some idea will be there, faintly or dimly, of the God's working. And again, of course, already we have quoted God's wrath is our eternal advantage. Sometimes God's failure we come across the way. Many times we find God also fails in his mission, or maybe covertly or overtly, maybe knowingly also there is a chance of failure. Here in the quotes beautifully, God often fails in his workings. God often, not once or twice, often fails in his workings. It is the sign of his illimitable Godhead. Because if he is not actually, if mother has beautifully quoted once, if somebody says I have never failed in life, just don't trust that person. Like this, here is also God accepts his failure while working, fails in his working. That is the sign of his illimitable Godhead. So that is what the requirement. Just imagine how the use of this setubandha. Immediately Ramachandra could have done with an arrow. Simply with an arrow, this sea could have been divided, and these people could have gone. That is what all simply within one arrow, one beautiful bridge could have been bridged. But thing is one that not was not like that, because that is a natural process, and God has to. He is the creator of the law, and he has also to accept it. Again, God's mask. Sometimes we now itself this pandemic season we use the mask. God justifies himself in the end, even when he has masked himself as a bully or as a tyrant. You can imagine what is happening. Just imagine how this all these Pandavas, this exile, just imagine they were hiding everything. Jarasandha, they came to ask for the duel or fight. Just imagine he had to mask himself because it is the requirement. It was the requirement of time because they should work overtly. That was the call of the day. That was the time. Even you have also known that once Shri Krishna had touched the feet of the ass. Gadhapada. So this was the what is the requirement of the time. Then again, here in the course, in God's sight there is no near or distant, because he's totally impartial. God is something that our mind can't measure him, and our mind can't reach him. In God's side, there is no near or distant, no present or past or future, nothing like this. Everything for him, everything is same. Just imagine that while the Arjuna had promised after the death of his beloved son Abhimanyu, I must kill the assailant, otherwise I must die. But actually there was a problem. Till the evening there was not, almost evening was getting close, sun was about to set, that was not possible. But thing is that again, of course, Sri Krishna actually scolded like anything, and still that chakra actually it hit the entire sun. So it is there. God's sight is there, no near or distant, no present, past or future. These things only are convenient perspectives for the world picture. These are the common things what is actually known as in a common format for them. Then God's temptation we have seen, if did not take upon him the burden of the tempting the men, burden of tempting men, he has to burden. Arjuna is not actually, he's telling, no, I want to wage war. I don't want this war. He had to tempt himself, and the world would soon go to the perdition. Thank you.